Hello, everyone, and thank you for checking out Internet Stories. Today we have three great stories. Two of the stories are from Reddit's tifu subreddit, and one are from the Entitled Parents subreddit. Our first story is about a family going on an amazing trip to Australia, while one kid in the family has an irrational fear of some of the creatures that live in Australia and begins to really sabotage this trip. The second story is about some parents who think they can force their children to have babies. Yeah, that's just a little weird. Our third story is about a girl who works really hard to be super sexy, and I applaud her effort, but her effort really backfires in the end. TIFU, by almost getting my parents arrested in the airport because I said no when asked if they were my parents. This happened several years ago, but thought Reddit would enjoy all of my 9-year-old bratness. I really liked National Geographic. There was this one show that I really enjoyed, and it was about Australia. In it, they'd show real-life stories about what happened to people after they were attacked by animals. I was obsessed with it, but by watching it, I developed a very large fear of Australia. I swear that I would never go there. Then, my cousin, who was living in Australia at the time, got engaged and decided to have her wedding there in Australia. My parents were all, okay, we'll fly out to attend. I was not okay with that. I turned up my brightness level to 2,000. I threw tantrums every day leading up to the day we left. My parents were so done with me. They had to physically drag me to the airport. At the airport, we'd go through check-in and security fine, but had to rush to the gate because we were late due to my kicking and screaming. While waiting for the plane to start boarding, I hadn't stopped being a little shit. I had progressed to moving away whenever my parents reached for me and shouting, "Don't touch me! I don't know you!" Eventually, an airline staff walks up to me. I was sitting a few seats away from my parents at this point. She asked me whether they were my mom and dad. My mom tries to intervene, but the lady stopped her and told me to answer. I thought it'd be hilarious to see the look on my parents' faces when I said no. So that's just what I did. She asked me if I was sure, and I replied the same. All of a sudden, things started happening very fast. Even though my parents tried to say that I was their kid, security was called, my parents were taken away, and the lady started telling me everything was going to be fine. I had not planned on anything actually happening, so I started crying. After a while, I came clean, and my parents had to pull out birth certificates and make a bunch of phone calls to prove I was their kid. We missed the flight and was transferred onto a later one. After that, I became the most well-behaved kid on the planet, who was also grounded for a month. By the way, Australia was awesome. Yeah, though that was not funny that they missed her flight, but the fact that she had so much fun in Australia, but made up such a stink about it, it's like, come on, really? You're going on a trip. You know, they're not going to feed you to the wolves. You'll be fine. Just don't watch shows where animals eat creatures. Watch some other shows. I don't know. Yeah, that was a fun little story. Thanks. This next story is from the subreddit entitled Parents, and it's called "Either You Give Us Grandchildren, or We're Taking You Off Our Will." The title sounds bad. The story is even worse. I never thought I would be writing a post about my own parents here, but here we are, right? For context, my fiance and I have been in a relationship for the past 10 years and just recently got engaged. While it's understandable that 10 years might sound a bit too much, we started dating really early, and getting married was not a priority for either of us. We actually preferred to focus on our studies and career for a while. She's a civil engineer, and I'm a medical student after getting a bachelor's and a master's. I do freelancing as a developer to pay my living expenses. As we have been a couple for a long time, it's quite common for people to ask us when we're getting married and when we're having kids. While we are getting married as soon as I finish med school, we decided not to have children a long time ago, and we're still very certain of that decision, as both of us are more career than family oriented. However, since the engagement, our families have started to put more pressure on us to get married soon and have children, even though we told them plenty of times that's not going to happen. My fiance and I live together, and we're completely independent from our families financially. Some time ago, during a video chat, we ended up getting into a heated argument with our families for finally snapping at their ceaseless nagging for grandchildren, and we have been strained ever since. Now our families asked us to meet them for a lunch in family at my parents' house. We didn't live in the same city, but it's close enough that we can go there for something like this. And that's when the following conversation transpired. We arrived early enough to help out in preparing everything for the lunch. And for the next hour or so, things were pretty all right. But after we had lunch, we sat at the coffee table to chat. It's customary here. The room got visibly tense. Our parents, both hers and mine, started a speech about how much they put into us, how much they worked for us, and how much family means to them. I was already sensing some shitty thing coming, but I kept listening. Suddenly, they said that during one of their talks, they came to a decision that if my fiance and I didn't give them grandchildren, after all they had done for us, we would be cut from their wills. Their reasoning was this. 1, my brother is a gay man and as of now has no intention of adopting or any alternative to have children. And I, the only option on continuing the family, luckily he was not there, because then he would have been as mortified as I was. Argument number 2, my fiance is the older sister. Her younger sister is still in high school and thus must set an example by having a family and continuing the family. Now, that is not psychotic. I have no clue what it is. We quickly looked between ourselves and immediately left the house. We hadn't spoken to them since, but as far as we are aware, we're just so now. I never thought I would have to go through that, just because I don't want to have children, but it just shows how much entitlement they think they have. Here's a little update. My fiance and I have absolutely no interest in their inheritance. We've been fine on our own for a long time, and we can take care of ourselves. Thus, we have absolutely no intention of contesting their will. We don't need that money, and we don't want it. I only posted this here due to the absurdity of their actions. We have decided to cut contact with them and uninvited them from our wedding. My brother is giving us full support on this, and as he is my best man, this already means the world to me. It's regrettable that it has come to this outcome, but we are not going to let them run our lives. Some people asked us why we don't want to have kids. There's a few reasons for that, especially the fact that we both are extremely focused on our careers. Having a child is a responsibility to raise someone and give them the attention, lessons, and time needed. Neither of us want to go through that just to birth someone. Also, we have firm beliefs that the world already has people enough without us putting someone else on it. Lastly, neither of us really like kids. As bad as that might sound, we have no intention of ever giving birth to a child. I mean, that's a crazy story, and all I have to say is, that's their decision. Let them make their decision. They don't need to be forced into that. It's not necessary to force them. Just, try to be there for them. So you can't just go and make someone do something that they don't want to do. It's not necessary, and no one's going to be happy in the end, as we can see here. This story is from Reddit's subreddit TIFU, and it's called TIFU, by trying to surprise my boyfriend and accidentally flashing his parents in the process. Last week, me, a 24-year-old female, and my boyfriend, a 20-year-old male, and I got into an argument about which one of us puts in the most effort to keep things adventurous sexually. He argued that 90% of the time it's him. I told him that I didn't think that was true, and he responded that not once in the 3 years we've been together have I ever caught him off guard sexually. I told him that he was going to eat his words, and next time I proposed sex, it would be a surprise. Now, I knew that he was going to be expecting something after that, so I decided today would be the best day to do it. The reason being was that his parents were coming to visit from out of town, and when they do, I'm way too stressed out to even think of sex. So I knew he wouldn't be expecting anything. He told me that he would be home from work at 4, and they would be arriving around 7-ish. Perfect. That would give us some time to do the deed, clean up, and then have ourselves a little secret for when the in-laws visit. So I set myself up in the living room couch, which was a clear view from the door, wearing only a pair of heels. I decided to put some porn on the TV, which I never typically watch, and touch myself so that when he came in, he would surely be surprised. I had my head tipped back when the door opened, and all I heard were gasps. I looked up, and standing there was my boyfriend and his parents. I flipped over and scrambled for a blanket to cover myself and heard the door slam. I checked my phone and saw that my boyfriend had texted me that his parents had left earlier to avoid traffic. He came home a few hours later and was extremely angry and is convinced that I did this to get back at him for saying I didn't try hard enough. Dinner with the in-laws is going to be a bit awkward. So, that was a great story, and I got to give her A for effort, but F for execution. So, it's never good to mix sex and in-laws together at the same time. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me and listening to the stories provided by Internet Stories. I hope you all liked them. Please like and subscribe for some more future stories and be the first to be notified once a new one is released. Thanks. Bye, everyone.